look a little funny because I have a straight edge right up on here, you can see, but perspective is off, but it's going to be about the same. I can probably just bring this over just a little bit more this way, and it'll be fine. Now as you can see, I've got these feathers laid out. Now because these feathers are going to be raised up, I need to come down just about 1/8 of an inch below those two. I just make a mark below those right there. So what I want to do later is I'm going to take a knife and I'm actually going to cut that notch out down to that point, to this point right here. As you can see, there's like 1/8 of an inch notch down below those two right there, or this line. We'll come down to that line later. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to take a cylinder, one that I showed you, and we're going to take the Sapien diamond and we're going to cut this, relieve this wing portion out right here, all the way up into here. So this is where we got to be careful. That's why I remember I told you we didn't want to go too far back here and take out too much wood. If we took too much wood out, we wouldn't have much to lay these feathers in. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and put the Sapien diamond in, and I'll cut these out right here. So we'll get that taken care of. And this is called a Sapien diamond because, as you can see, the end has no cutting capability on it, right there like that. But the rest of it does in here. There's the safe end, because it won't cut if I get up against something. Because if you have cuts on the end, you keep pushing against something, it's going to keep moving it forward so you can reestablish your line again a little bit. So, safe end diamond, and you see it's slightly tapered on the end. And it's not a real fine diamond, but it'll do a good cutting job. So let's go ahead and start relieving the wings. When I start at the shoulder on these, it's very, very shallow at this point, and then it gets deeper as we go back here to the wings. But we don't want to go too deep yet because we still have other things that we have to take out in here. So we want to just establish this line first. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start pulling this line, the shoulder out. So we'll start very shallow right there, and just make a shallow cut initially all the way around. You'll see I'm just letting that safe end of that diamond right up against that pencil line. It's cutting real good. So I bring it all the way up here. Right to that point right there. Now, you'll notice that when I was cutting this, I cut it running along the edge here like this, but when it starts to come up over the edge, it rolls into it this way. You don't want to keep cutting an edge because you'll be undercutting it. You want to keep that wing straight up there. You don't want to be cutting way up underneath it. So I can come back now and reestablish that some more. But you have to remember what's going to happen is once we cut this out, we're now going to round this part of the breast over on both sides so that we have roundness like here and on the back side, and that's how we can go back to the head and start shaping the head. So we just keep working this out a little bit at a time. Remember, like I said, let the tool do the work. Don't force it. Sometimes it can chatter on you if there's a lot of grain in the wood, and then you're going to have a mess. You can always take off wood, but you can't put it back on. Well, you can if you use a lot of good epoxy. But I try to not do that. Getting up close to this. Notice I'm just taking it right up in there like that, real easy. Now you see this point, I've got a high point right in here. You can see it right there. I'm just going to knock that off a little bit so that it's rounded. Now it makes it look a little better. It doesn't look as bad as it did. It looks a whole lot better. You notice I'm shallow here, and then I started getting deeper the further back I went. I can get a little deeper in here. You notice I'm not tilting this way up like this and digging in. I'm just kind of just tilting it just a little bit so that the edge of the diamond does the cutting. Notice I brought that outside edge down to that mark that I made right here. See where I've cut that down to that mark right there. That's all I'm trying to do for right now. That's going to change a little bit later, but there's more going to come. This tail is real thick, and we have to cut that out and take that tail down. So we want to be sure we have plenty of wood. So I just come back around here now like this, and I just kind of clean this off a little bit, because right now this is kind of slanted in a little bit, so I want to clean that out and make it straight a little bit. Get rid of that V I have in there. It's like you cut it with a V tool if you were using hand tools. Okay. That's one side cut out, or started. You'll notice the end of it, I've rolled it up here to that feather. Now I'm going to go around here and I'm going to do the other side. So what I'm going to have to do, obviously, because I can't go this way unless you're left-handed, I'm going to start just by moving right around the top edge of that feather right there, very lightly. It's almost like doing a stop cut with a knife. I bring it right up against that like that. And you'll see that's how thick I've got it. Not very thick at all. So now I just continue down the other side. Remember how I rolled it on the other side as I went? I'm doing the same thing over here, just establish a small cut line first. This is a pretty smooth little diamond, but it will cut quickly, so you want to be careful and go slow. You don't want to rush it. Notice that I'm shallow at that point where the shoulder is. And I can come back. You'll notice that if you look on this side right here, you see how deep I am right here. I want to repeat the same process over on this side. So I'll just start working my way around this. And do it a little bit at a time. One thing you have to watch out for too is you get a lot of dust on your hands, and it'll slip, and you can drop it, or your finger will slip off and slip into you or into the bird. You might cut a piece of the bird you didn't intend to put in. I have done that before many times, so be careful. Like I said, just let the tool do the work. I don't try to cut one big continuous line. I do it a little bit at a time. And sometimes you can get unexposed grain in here if you're doing one continuous swoop, and it'll just cut all over the place and you're in trouble. Now what I like to do is just kind of compare one side to the other side. Look at it. I got a little bit more, as you can see. I've got a lot more to go here. So I've got to clean this off some more. Deeper. side again. Looking pretty close to each other. I've got to come just a little bit deeper right here. Okay, I think we've pretty much got those even. So we'll just clean this off a little bit, like we did the other side. Flattening that side out like we did the other one. You may have seen me taking this thing and going backwards against it because it's the way it's spinning. It smooths good going the other way, but you have to be careful when you go backwards like this because it could run on you. So just be careful when you're doing that because it can get away from you. But I learned this a long time ago about being able to go backwards like this because it cleans it up very nicely. And you'll see I've got tracks here. This is where you got a grain in here, so I want to try to go in here and clean some of this up. I'm just laying the tool on there, slight pressure, just making sure that it does the work. Nothing else. Okay, now as you can see, we've got the sides, the feathers. We got this side cut in. We've got that side cut in. And if you look at it up on end, they're pretty much even. So that's what we're looking for. So in this process, now we can start rounding over the breast, and then we'll go back and continue on with the working on the head that fit out into the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over to that carbide bit I was using, and then round this breast over to this center line. So we'll change that out. Let this stop spinning. And we'll change to that carbide tip again. And now we'll go ahead and start rounding it. We don't want to go too far back into the tail. Here again, we want to keep wood in here because there's other things we have to put in, so we don't want to go too far back in here and take too much out. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is, like I said before, we're going to round off this breast to a certain point. Remember, you don't want to go too far here. So now that I've got the carbide bit in, I'll go ahead and start rounding the breast over. Again, just take this sharp edge off. Let the tool do the work. I find sometimes when I'm doing this right here, the rounding the breast, I find out I have to go back in and cut a little deeper again in order to get the sweep we need in here. So, like I said, this was just an initial starting out to define where it's at. So we'll see as we go how much more we need to take out. And I can see right now that I'm going to have to go in and cut this out some more with that safe end diamond. But right now, let's just go ahead and get what we can rolled over, and then I'll go back in and pull that out because I need to be able to get more sweep in here from under the wing. So I don't want to get too close with this rounded nose on this thing so it'll cut into the wing. I just want to clean up to it. Probably not going to have to do much cutting right here, but it'll be enough to define that wing a little bit. So we'll get both sides done and then we'll figure out how much more we need to do. Notice I'm going right up into that area of the head where that goes under the bill. There's a lot of stuff in here we can cut later, so I'm just going right up to the edge of it. I'm not going up into it. See right in here that it needs to be rounded just a little bit, so square and flat still. But like I said, staying away from up in here. We're just going to go up close to it. Okay. As you can see, that's looking a little bit better. Look up on the, as compared to the other side, so it's starting to round up pretty good. You can see right there. Now we'll just do the other side. We have to start from the, again, right around the back side right here on this. You notice how that it started, I was going against the grain differently here, so in order to keep it from doing this, I'm going to turn it back around and come from the other direction. Sometimes you want it, the grain will work against you, so we'll use that to our advantage, so it's smoother and doesn't tear the wood. Tupelo is a very light wood and it's not as dense as basswood, so you have to be careful how you go against the grain, or it can tear it rather than cut it. So getting this right up close to the wing, as close as we can get. Rolling that over just to match the other side. It's starting to look a little more bird-like rather than a square block of wood. Kind of look at it here to see what I've got. I can take some of this out on this back side of the head here, making sure I keep it straight. We get rid of this angle right here. There we go, watch that. Now it's starting to look pretty good. Let me just clean up right up under this wing right here. Now the one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to stop now, take out this and put that safe end back in, and so that I can undercut these wings just a little bit more back under here, just to get it myself so I can round this breast just a tad more.